Hi, this is Rodrigo from Frame Freak Studio, and this is the Creative Hostler Show. Today's guest is Lisser, which is the creator of 1 Minute Mail and the new channel that is called Hypergauge, right?
Hypergauge, yes.
Hypergauge. So pretty much it's about like putting two characters in animation to fight each other into death, and he uses a lot of pixel art. And first, I found his work through 1 Minute Melee because I found the first animation of Superman between One Punch Man, and I completely love it. And pretty much after that, I started watching all the videos from it. So welcome, Ali.
Thank you, thank you. I'm glad you liked that episode.
I really loved it. So first of all, for the people who don't know about you, can you tell us a little bit about your history and how you got started into doing this kind of animations?
Well, my name is Lisser, as Fred. Well, sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Rodrigo.
Rodrigo, as Rodrigo stated. And yeah, I mainly started out within a mini community that was based on, it was on sprite animation, but it was like a specific type. It was like a Maple Story. We always used like Maple Story sprites, and we like gathered together and we learned from each other in that community. I animated for around 4 to 5 years around there, and then we started like moving on to different sprites, and then we ended up creating just more content in general. When I say we, I mean as like me and my team, obviously. So yeah.
Awesome. And I remember Maple History. I'm not sure if it's still alive. I will assume so. But
It probably is, yeah.
But I remember that when my friends started playing it, it was a lot of years ago, and YouTube was, while it has its fame, it wasn't like the most common thing that people will be like YouTubers or anything like that.
Yeah.
What made you go all out into doing animation for pretty much this new channel that everybody was looking at?
I mean, honestly, it was mainly through passion. I just liked making animations one after the other and improving after each animation, and bringing a team together like with the same sort of drive, just to get better and better and just improve to like amazing, or just to create content for people to enjoy. Either way, it's just really great to like put something out there and just have it there and just be like, I made that. It's really nice. It's a really nice feeling. I mean,
it definitely is. What are like the challenges that you face when trying to create these animations in the beginning?
The challenges, I would say, I mean, I wouldn't say that I had to face many, really and truly, because I was so passionate about it. But common challenges that many people tend to go through, or one of my favorites, is criticism. You would see in the comments of the 1 Minute Melees from till today, and it was a lot worse back in the day when you was when we were like really bad animators and nobody like really cared about our content and whatnot. Like, it was a lot worse. But at the end of the day, it all helps you get better, because you got to see the good and the bad and take that to improve yourself.
This is definitely something hard, and I really see that this is like one of the most common factor of many people to pretty much stop doing what they are doing, that they start receiving bad comments. What made you push past through the bad comments?
Simply just my love for animation, really. Just being passionate about it and just continuing, like, just creating videos and just seeing things come to life. Like, I can finally put what's in my brain on paper, you know? Like, do you remember ever like being a child and you like had your toys and you would like bash them against each other, like blah, blah, all of that stuff? That's how it feels. That's exactly how it feels like, but with actual sprites and actual like images and whatnot. But it's like put on a video and it's like more, you know, professional and all that.
Something I started to check in the beginning, I didn't saw it when I saw 1 Minute Melee, but then I check out that you were actually doing like two kind of endings, like to try to please both sides of fans. I'm guessing that's a huge extra work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I see that in other series where pretty much you put people to combat, they always get mad. That stuff.
All the
Like
time.
the loser,
Even my
right?
friends in real life sometimes. Sometimes they'll come at me and be like, "Why did you make so and so lose?" Why? Like, it's a catastrophe.
So I'm guessing that's where you chose like to show the two endings, right, and to please both sides.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't done that in our series, but we did it in another series that we're doing for Riot. So
Awesome. And pretty much, what was the history of Hypergouge? What made you start that channel?
when we were just working together as a team, and we didn't have a name for ourselves. We wasn't really doing anything besides just animating 1 Minute Melee. So we just decided to like come together and, you know, become Hypergauge. And there's a lot like establishing a team name for ourselves actually like gave us an opportunity to go and work with Hyun, and Hyun is actually setting up opportunities for us as we speak, and it's really great.
Awesome. So in the beginning, I'm guessing that right now we have like a lot of monetization systems for YouTube, and like it's really normal that
Yeah.
people make money through the internet. We have Patreon and many other things, but in the beginning, I'm guessing that you didn't have like all these tools that allow you to pretty much get money from the animations, right?
No, not at all. No.
So in the beginning, it was just the work of passion, like you
Yeah.
making time for it and
That's
hope.
it. That's how it has to be. Yeah. That's what it had to
Uh,
be. I mean,
that is one of the great things of this career right now, that I tell many friends that definitely this is not an easy path, but at the same time it's going to be way easier for them because they are never going to have to deal with the kind of things we had to deal in the
right.
past, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when it comes to try to making a living out of the art that you love, what will be like your recommendations for people in order to make that work?
It's honestly really, it depends. It depends, because if you have the goal to become better and then work for a company, then you may just want to go to a animation college, but not an animation college that like focuses on other things like history of animation or anything and all that. You want an animation college where they just sit you down, give you the 12 principles of animation, and just like drill it into your head and they just tutor you, or just get an animation tutor or something like that. But if you're looking to like own your own company and do like just host a video production company and try and get your word out, I mean your name out and all that, then honestly it's kind of tough. I don't really have, you just got to push forward, really.
And in that area, how did you learn to animate? Like, was it all by yourself, like pretty much sitting in front of the computer and trying to find a lot of information on the internet, or
uh,
did you went to classes in specific to animation?
I taught myself. I pretty much fiddled around with this program when I think I was 15 or 14. I just fiddled around with the program, and then I started getting used to it, and I started creating more things. Then I headed over to the community, and then they started giving me more critique, and that's how I learned to get better.
Awesome.
That's how it pretty much started.
pretty much it was the same for us. Like we come from a country where we didn't have many artistic options for college, and
Yeah.
all we had was like the closest thing we had was graphic design, and it was one of these kind of schools where they pretty much make you lose a lot of time into teaching you a lot of things that you're never going to use.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So thankfully, when we got into university, it was about the time where internet was starting like to blossom, and we were able to get some good information out of it. But it still was the time where people were like, "Oh, you learn it from YouTube?" Like, "Ha ha ha!" Like you poor things. Where people didn't take it seriously, and now there's even millionaires giving you classes about entrepreneurship for free in
Yeah.
YouTube. And what are the resources that you would recommend to learn animation?
If I was to be blunt, then I would say Google. But if you wanted to take animation to the next level, then I would say there's a course online, and it's I think it lasts for 2 years, and it's a site named animationmentor.com, I believe. Hold on. We just search that. Yeah, animationmentor.com. It's absolutely amazing, and it will pretty much nail down all the 12 principles of animation and cinematics, camera shots, all of that. There's even stuff in here that I don't even know, but that's because I haven't been on the course and I've only been teaching myself. But from the looks of it, this site has been helping a lot of people. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We actually interviewed, and it was kind of like a lucky strike because we interviewed one of the founders of Animation Mentor without knowing that he was one of the founders of
Really?
this site.
Wow.
We actually were interviewing him about a project that he was working in that moment, and he was doing like a crowdfunding campaign. So we focused the interview on his project. And later, like months later, I found out like, oh, damn, like this guy is one of the founders. Like
That's so cool. Oh my God, that's really cool.
yeah, but still, I'm really. I also, for the people who are listening, definitely recommend the Animation Mentor course if you can afford it as well, because it's not that cheap, but
Yeah,
it's definitely but it's definitely worth it.
100%.
And when you started this, did you ever have this point where you were like, I would like to work for a big company doing animation, or was it always your desire to be like independent and doing the things that you love?
I became independent simply because nobody else was doing it. Like we had our whole community of animators, but none of them was thinking, "Hey, let's just gather a bunch of us and then just start something." So I felt like I might as well be the first to do it.
Awesome. And you know, this is something that I found in the animation communities, that they lack a lot, even though they have a lot for the artistic thing,
Yeah.
they do lack a lot of the basic kind of entrepreneurship
Yeah.
material, because this idea of, oh, you know what, let's gather all our friends and pretty much pay the rent of some really small place, and yet let's just eat a lot of maruchan soup and and just work to create something. Like that's how many tech entrepreneurs started, pretty much like just figuring out something with your friends, living
Yeah.
in no good conditions, but for something.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
don't see that happening a lot in the animation community. Why do you think that happens?
I think it's because globally, animators aren't really paid a lot. I'm not too sure. Well, I know that animators in Japan aren't paid a lot, but I think it's mainly because animation is hard work. Like, imagine having to draw 350 pictures a day. That's not what I do, but like that's pretty much what a traditional animator does, you know? And it's even like the stuff that I do is very difficult. Like I have to come up with scripts, choreography, timing, all this other thing. You have to first, like, practicing the animation is a whole long process, and then doing the animation is a long process too. It's just super long for a lot of people to handle. So it's not really smart to go in this field, but yeah. That's why a lot of animators get part-time jobs, really.
Yeah, definitely. And something that really catches my eye is that you always like to do like pixel art kind of animations. Uh, and I remember the first time that I tried to mess up with pixel art, that I thought it was going to be easier. And then I found out how it was not that easy at all.
That's exactly how I approached it. Don't worry. That's exactly how I approached it as well. Like, I thought it was good.
And I was just doing like one picture, like just one. And then it was, holy shit, like this is so hard. And then I saw your animations, like, holy fuck, like is he really doing like square, like frame by frame, all these things, like, or is it an easier way?
I mean, sometimes we do. There's rig animation and then there's frame by frame animation. We pretty much, with rig animation, we pretty much like break up the symbols of the object / human character, whatever it is, and we just move them about to make it seem like it's lifelike. But with frame by frame, that's when you're pretty much doing traditional animation. You're drawing each and every frame of, like, you know, of your character or machine, object, focus.
How much time does it take you to do like one average episode?
One minute melee would usually, back in the day when I had a lot more free time, it would usually just take me 2 weeks to make one episode. But nowadays, it would usually take a month.
And this is something that pretty much happens on the side of clients, I think. When somebody comes to you and is like, "Oh, I would like to do this kind of animation," and they are not based in reality at all, because maybe they want something really complex.
Yeah,
and it takes so much time and
exactly. Yeah.
But still, I see it in some artists who think that, oh, like I think like pixel art is one of the most undermined form of art right now, because many people see it and it seems so simple, but it's so not.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people, when they come to commission us, they believe that they can just pay us in like tinier pennies than actual artists. Well, as they classify actual artists, but really and truly, they don't know that it's just as hard. So,
Definitely. And what is something that you didn't expect at all that became through in your career and is really important?
Understanding that not everyone has the same time management skills as yourself. Just managing like everybody's time and trying to help others out while you're doing your thing, and this and that. It's just really weird to understand that others can't just put 1 and 2 together and just do something.
Yeah, I definitely have found that uh, I learned by really, really hard lessons that
Yeah.
things that for me seem so simple and so basic, they are not so obvious to other people.
Yeah.
On the other hand, uh, what is something that you completely expected from your career that became true and is actually important?
Hmm. Hmm. I'm not sure I can say.
Maybe the hard work.
Oh, definitely the hard work, but I'm trying to think of something. Uh, something that I expected. I would say yeah, because I didn't really used to focus on art when I was younger, but now I didn't like think that it would like matter now, but it did. I mean, it totally did, and I had to like backtrace my steps on like how to become a better artist. I'm still not that great on art, but I feel like I'm decent enough to try and output the work we do.
And right now, YouTube has gone through a lot of changes that has harmed a lot of YouTubers. And I'm part of the Federated Channel network where there was a lot of animators there that had been stricken because I remember the first kind of a strike was when YouTubers started to reward people who were constantly putting videos on YouTube, and the
Right.
more the better. And of course, you cannot do like daily videos on animation,
Yeah.
like that doesn't happen.
Unfortunately, no.
So I started seeing like all these people complaining about that they were starting to see them being punished because they were doing like maybe one animation per month, and before it was fine. And now with the apocalypse and many things that happen, uh, what are the kind of challenges that you face now in YouTube trying to create this kind of animations?
Really and truly, with YouTube, the payment will always be like down there, and all of these changes really affect. I think it affected our view count too, because I mean I'm not sure how it worked, but I feel like there was some content in our videos that drove away the advertisers, as they did to many other YouTubers. But they didn't do that to the sponsors, which is why we have a lot more sponsors in our videos. So instead of relying on the revenue, we actually like have to use the sponsors in our shows to help us out. It's not like us trying to get a quick cash grab. This is actually like how we're surviving now.
And how do you go about going to sponsors? I'm not asking from the point of the because I know there are many people want to go like, oh yeah, I would like to get the sponsors, and they
Yeah,
you see what they are doing, and it's definitely not good enough. But
yeah,
I also see the other side of the people who like are good enough, like have the skills, have something good in their hands, and they just don't even know where to start to get like sponsors or opportunities because they don't have like the business skills to
right.
do so. So uh,
Well, where I started is a site called Grapevine. They give you like very small sponsors, but like if you search up a keyword, it's going to give you a specific sponsorship that will be related to that keyword. And if you search up things that are related to your channel, then you won't seem like a sellout. Example, because Crunchyroll is sponsoring us, where I mean, well, not because Crunchyroll is sponsoring us. I'm saying Crunchyroll is sponsoring us because we are doing a lot of anime related stuff. So if you were to go onto Grapevine and search up, let's see, I don't know, say for example, there was somebody who liked to talk about their Tinder dates on YouTube, they could search up the Tinder app and possibly get a sponsor from the Tinder app themselves. Yeah, I've seen a lot of companies go on Grapevine and offer great sponsorships. So it's a great place to start.
Awesome. I will definitely check them out.
Mm.
Also, when people are starting out into their artistic careers, what do you think is the most common mistakes you see people doing that they are not aware that they are doing?
Taking too many breaks. That's you've got to put so much work in. It's unbelievable.
I actually went through that with a friend recently because she pretty much uh, was tired of college. She got to the point where she understood that it wasn't going to help her too much,
Yeah.
and then went out pretty much to build her own thing. And like the first talk that I had with her was like, look, this sounds like great and amazing, but it's kind of like a lot of hard work. And at least the first 2 years, or maybe a little bit more, like you are going to have uh, you are going to have to choose a life that not many people want to live,
Yeah.
because you have to sacrifice a lot to at least gain some momentum. And then in the first week, like uh, I see her like watching Game of Thrones and reading Pokemon and things like that. It's like, and she was like, "No, but I'm working towards creating a life of freedom or doing what I want." And it's like, no, 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 no. That's coming later. I told you like the first 2 years was going to, like you are not going to have. You cannot allow yourself to have this kind of breaks.
Exactly. Yeah. You have to do that way later when you're fully established and everything. I can't really talk because I have been taking a couple of breaks, but I've still been on my game. So yeah.
I When I actually quit my job, like to start entrepreneurship, I remember that the first 3 weeks, like I did absolutely nothing, and then it was okay. Like this cannot be happening. Like,
Yeah,
this is definitely not the path. But
definitely.
it was hard, but I was like actually able to put myself into the right direction. And one of the things that I did, like kind of on purpose, I remember I had this huge computer that was like the gaming computer, and I loved to game a lot, but it
Mm,
was kind of dying. So I bought a laptop that didn't have like not that much power, you could say.
right. Yeah.
And then I pretty much let the other computer die. I didn't repair it or did anything to it, so it died. And now I was stuck with the laptop, and it was like, okay, I'm not going to buy a gaming computer until like I'm kind of well established. So I
Yeah.
went even that far as to physically put in the conditions of not gaming.
Man, it takes a lot to put yourself in that sort of position. Jeez.
At the end, like I realized at that point that I had like really shitty willpower to put myself onto it. So I instead of trying to find the willpower to do it, I just set up the logistics. So whatever I wanted to happen, like it had to happen because there was no other way around. Also, what are like if you were to talk to your younger self, what would be like 3 lessons that you would like to give him, like to tell to your younger self?
um, Save money so you can go to animation mentor. That'll be one. Um, let's see. Uh, Keep go like cut all gaming from your life and learn as much as you can and just grind as much as you can. Because if I did that back in the day, I'm pretty sure I'll be so top tier right now. But I have to work twice as hard now. So I mean, I don't mind it, but it's all well and good.
This is something that I also find out. Like in the beginning, I quit just for entrepreneurship because I wanted to have kind of the freedom life, but I
Yeah.
choose a business idea that I didn't care about. So I still work hard, but when I joined up forces with a friend and started to found this studio, and it was animation, and it was like pretty much what I love to do.
Yeah.
I found out myself at one point. I remember that I was working really really hard, and I didn't feel it. And then I realized, like, hey, at this point, like I should be burned out if it was like the previous business that I had, the one that I
Yeah.
didn't care about. But now I'm working like 3 times harder, and I'm not even feeling it. Like it felt just natural.
Because it's something you love, and that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And however, I do one of the big lessons that I had is that if I had started like from the get go, at least that was my personal case, that it had started from the get go, like into doing something that I love, I would have been too emotionally involved and probably would have made a lot of mistakes.
Right.
That
Yeah.
now that I had a little bit of experience with the other business, I could see that there was something that sometimes I really wanted to do, but it was obviously something. At that point, it was obvious to me that it was something that maybe was not going to work,
Right.
and even I even gave it like little tests to see how it worked, and yeah, definitely the numbers are not favorable in this decision. But I do think that there is kind of like this balance of doing what you love, but at the same time not being too emotionally attached to the
Yeah.
strategies that you use because you also want it to work. Like
Yeah. Of course. Of course.
at least in my case, I think it helped to do something that I wasn't emotionally attached in order to
To
find
make you
out.
realize. Yes.
Definitely. Did you went through something like that when you were started doing all this?
I always had animation as a hobby, and I didn't like spearhead anything else, but I did like dabble into other workforces, and I just felt super out of place anytime I would like be on a shift or anything.
I did feel like that when I was working too on other jobs. Actually, I had
Yeah.
this feeling like for some time I did have this feeling that there was something wrong with me because I saw everybody else so happy about the jobs that they have,
Exactly. Yeah.
and I was like, I feel so miserable. Like, is there something
Know
wrong with
exactly what you mean.
me? Awesome. But what are your plans now for the future into these animations?
um, I personally really want to go and learn 3D. That's like my number one goal. Well, not my number one goal, but a short-term goal. I want to try and start releasing 3D 1 minute melees by myself so that we can draw more attention to us. There's also a couple of things I got planned, but I can't really say simply because it's all on NDA stuff. But yeah.
That's awesome. And there is a hard question that I like to ask all the people that I interview,
Right.
which goes like this: Imagine that you wake up tomorrow in a whole different dimension, and nobody knows about you, nobody knows about your show, but you have all your experience, you have all your skills, pretty much all the tools that you need to go into work, and you have $500 in your pocket. What do you do to get at this point that you professionally speaking as soon as possible?
Do I have a house?
Yes.
Do I have a computer?
Yes.
Do I have the internet?
Yes.
Well, go to the grocery store, buy tons of energy drinks, buy some food, and get right back to work. Just animate, continuously animate for like, I don't know, a month. I'm pretty sure $100 can like get me a month's worth of food if I plan it out properly. But I'll just animate straight for a month, and then I'd go on Google, research who's willing to promote animators like myself, and I'll send them an email saying, "Hey, look, I've got a couple of animations that you probably want to promote. Do you want to like hit me up?" And just try and apply for an animation company, and then I'd probably like try and get a bit of money off of them. And once I'm like fully settled and I have enough money in the bank, I would then resign from that company and establish my own ground from there.
Nice. I recently have been interviewing some people who pretty much did something similar to that. Like, and their question, when I asked this question, we was like, well, that's what I did when I was starting out. Like, pretty much just shutting up, buying some food, and pretty much doing a lot of art, a lot of work.
Just tons of work. So sometimes that's how you have to do it.
Yeah, sometimes there is no other way.
Yeah.
Is there any advice that you would like to give to people who are starting out that you think that is not being talked about enough?
Yes. Animation colleges and animation universities, keep your eyes peeled for the right ones, because you can end up going to the wrong one and getting a horrible experience altogether. The teachers may come off as nice, but the entire course may come off as misleading. I feel that it's a topic that not many people talk about until later on, until they mess up the entire career.
I also feel the same way because I've seen a lot of friends going to colleges that did not help them one bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much lose a lot of money and a lot of time. For example,
it's a complete waste sometimes.
Yeah. Just to give you an example, there is a college where I live where pretty much they have like one whole semester for this signature called portfolio.
Yeah.
It's 6 months, pretty much wasting your time and resources into creating a portfolio. And if you listen to all the best people doing like the best work, they all will tell you, okay, your portfolio has to be like around 10 works, no much more than that. Yeah. Like your 10 best work from the best to the worst one. And pretty much don't add any text, don't add any design, just put your name, your 10 best pieces, and that's it. And that's like pretty much everything you need to know about. You don't need to lose 6 months. You do not need to lose that kind of money.
Yeah.
Into trying to plan one.
Oh man, it's so ridiculous. A lot of people fall for the trap because they see fancy head titles. I mean, and they're just like super wild, and they jump right into the course. And then by the time they're in their like second year, finishing their second year, they are wondering why they haven't done anything related to their dream yet, you know? And it's really upsetting to see amongst artists and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember when I first had like my first mentor, who pretty much sit with us and to teach us a lot of things into 3 months. And I thinking back like, damn, like I have learned so much more in these 3 months that all these years that I pretty much I lost 4 years because I went to 2 years to one career and 2 years to another and never finished it.
Yeah.
And then I looked back and it was like, I just learned so much more in these 3 months that those 4 years.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, and I feel bad about that time lost.
Jeez.
Anyways, if people want to find you online, where will be the best place to do so?
You can find my Facebook. It's just /hypergauge, or you can find the Twitter, which is /hypergauge or /Manny Lisser. Or you can, well, I'm not too sure about YouTube because the messaging system is quite iffy. So I would say stick to Twitter and Facebook.
Nice. Any last advice that you would like to give our listeners that we haven't talked about into this interview?
There's nothing at the top of my head, but the best I can give is stay hydrated.
Definitely. Awesome. It's been really great to have you here. So thank you a lot for giving us your time. I know that you're really busy. So this has been the last episode of the Creative Hostler Show. If you like the show, please click the like button below and also share it with your friends. Until next time.